So in California, we have something called a jungle primary. That is where you can have everybody running, doesn't matter, they're all in the same primary, Republicans, Democrats, independents, etc. And the top two advance to the general election. So it could be two Democrats, as it was in the last Senate race. It was Kamala Harris versus Loretta Sanchez. Both Democrats, one a little bit more progressive than the other. And that gave people a real choice that they preferred rather than a Democrat versus a Republican, because Republicans are not very popular here in California. On the other hand, now some are concerned that this is going to hurt the Democratic Party in California. So we're going to get into why here. So I'm going to go to a number of articles here. They're from The Hill and Huffington Post, but understand that almost everyone is writing about it from the same perspective, and one that I think is at least a little skewed and a little wrong, and I'll explain why. So first we'll go to The Hill, Douglas Schoen writing, the chances for Democrats in the November midterms may be imperiled by a lack of unity, a shift in national sentiment, and the structure of California's jungle primary. So I think the lack of unity argument is total nonsense. I'll get to that in a second, but a little bit more on the jungle primary. So in most races, if you have about the same amount of Republicans or Democrats running, in a state like California, which is blue, that will definitely be to the advantage of the Democrats, because they'll likely have two Democratic candidates going into the general election, which is, if you're not used to it, it's kind of amazing, right? Now, in some rare cases, it could be that a district that is predominantly Democratic can have a whole host of Democrats running, 20 Democrats running, and only 2 or 3 Republicans running. And even though the Republicans are in the minority, their two candidates get enough votes for only those two to move on, and all the Democrats are shut out because they split the vote in too many different ways. It is theoretically possible. Is this something that we should go nuts over, as I think almost all the national media is? No, and I think there's an alternative, a different motive, an ulterior motive, if you will, okay? And I'll explain that as we go on here. I'm going to go back to Schoen at The Hill. He writes, with so many new candidates entering the field, the party lacks a real uniting message, and it will likely lead to an unpredictable outcome. The Democrats are struggling to set themselves apart with a unified message to voters. Well, okay, that actually could be really easily solved. What is the progressive message? Does anyone really disagree with the progressive messages? Medicare for all. Because even the corporate Democrats say, well, if we could, I mean, we can, because we have to agree with Republicans and we have to agree with our donors, but if we could, we would do single payer. Okay, so that's a unified message. So are you guys gonna run on that? No, we're not, no way. Well, who doesn't agree? The Democratic Party doesn't agree. The establishment Democrats don't agree. The corporate Democrats don't agree. And I can go down the whole list, legalizing marijuana. You poll progressives, massively in favor. Are we going to run on that? Nope. Again, the Democratic Party doesn't agree. We would have a much stricter line on gun control if the voters were in charge instead of the Democratic Party. No, they don't agree. And remember, the Democratic Party recently put out a memo to their candidates saying, don't talk about gun control after the massacres. Oh, Jesus Christ. In every instance so far in this election cycle, the Democratic Party, if they have weighed in on a primary, whether it's the DNC, the DCCC, or any other part of the Democratic Party, have always, in every case, picked the more conservative Democrat. They have never picked the more progressive Democrat, never. So how am I supposed to unify with people that do the opposite of what they claim is their stated purpose? They claim that they want to get money out of politics, for example. The Democratic Party. So what do they support? In every single case, they support the candidate taking corporate PAC money and lobbyist money, and they oppose the ones that are uncorrupted that won't take corporate PAC money. Now their rationale is, well, I need a lot of money, money. That's the only thing that can ever win a race. So that's why I have to go ask my corporate friends. And of course, I got to pay them back. I mean, Lockheed Martin needs another contract, don't they? And so do all the pharmaceutical companies. But why don't you unify behind my pro-corporate message? The answer is hell no to that. So part of this hysteria is about get in line. In California, the Democratic Party has backed some candidates in primaries. They're almost all uniformly three things in this order. They can either self-finance or have a lot of rich friends. That's priority number 1 through 19, okay? All of the ones they backed are rich and know a lot of rich people. And again, their excuses, well, we need the money. We can't do it without the money. We can't do it. Small dollars, getting money out of politics. No. Money. That's number one. Number two is former Republican. They love former Republicans. Am I saying you should ban all former Republicans? No, I'm a former Republican. Okay, but I left a long time ago. Some of the guys they're backing left like 3 months ago, left the Republican Party when there was an opportunity to run as a Democrat, probably with the same views. Number three thing that they look for is veteran. Nothing wrong with veterans, bless their hearts, but they're obsessed. It's gotta be a veteran, it's gotta be a veteran, especially in Southern California. Okay, so they're backing a guy in the 50th district that's placing in 5th. He's in 5th place, but they're pouring tons of money into him and fighting against the guy who is in 2nd place and will make the runoff, who's very progressive. That's Amar Kampa-Najjar. They're like, no, Amar doesn't take corporate money. Well, he outraised your guy, even with all of your corrupt money backing him. Nope. Unity. Well, where's your goddamn unity? So please spare me the crocodile tears about unity because you guys are not in favor of it. And they showed, by the way, it's not just Amar's race where he's clearly the lead among the Democrats. Applegate nearly beat Issa. We're going to talk more about that race. That's the 49th district. Why don't you back Applegate? He's got more money and he nearly beat Issa and chased him out of Congress. Nope. He's not corrupt. Won't do it. Yeah, he won't use our consultants and he won't take corporate PAC money. So we're going to pour money into his opponents. And then you're going to cry about unity and you're going to cry about the jungle primary? Well, whose fault is that? It's your fault. But by the way, none of these articles point that out. There's no blame for the Democratic Party other than why didn't they drive the progressives out? Why didn't they drive them out? Okay, so you see where the mainstream media is coming from. Okay, so now let's go to the 49th district. There's two Republicans there. One, and Issa's gone, so they're looking to replace him. But that is likely to be a Democratic pickup if there's a Democratic in that candidate in that race. The two Republicans are Harkey and Chavez. So Harkey's apparently doing well. He's almost certainly, according to the polling, going to move on to the general election, and that's fine. It's a Republican-held seat. There'll be a Republican that's in that general election, right? The question is, will a second Republican make it or one of the Democrats? So let's go to the explanation from HuffPost here. Harkey, who's the leading Republican, is now considered a lock to advance to the general. But there are 4 Democrats battling for the second spot alongside Chavez, the other Republican. Businessman and veteran Paul Kerr, retired Colonel Doug Applegate, environmental lawyer Mike Levin, and Sarah Jacobs, a former Hillary Clinton campaign aide. And now Jacobs has a ton of money behind her. Her family's got a fortune, so they decided to buy that seat. So the 49th is a perfect example where they should have unified behind Applegate. It was literally the closest election in 2016 in the whole country, not in California, the whole country. He only lost to Issa by 1,600 votes. Afterwards, Issa panics and leaves Congress. So why not Applegate? Because he's a progressive. And then they cry about unity. Please. Okay, by the way, there is no disputing that. There's no dispute of that. He was the candidate that nearly knocked off Issa. And in the beginning, before all the corporate PACs came in, he had a huge money-raising advantage too because he had a lot of small donors already and he doesn't need corporate PAC money. He already had name recognition. He'd already run that race. He already had experience. And by the way, he's even a veteran. He's a colonel, right? It's everything the Democratic Party should love. Nope. Why doesn't he get out of the race? Are you insane? Why would he get out of the race? Well, he didn't bow his head to the corporate overlords. Why doesn't he get out? And then the rest of the media is like, oh yeah, they should. Everybody else should get out other than the ones the Democratic Party supports. Are you kidding me? Okay, now let's go stay with HuffPost. Talk about the money. A wave of spending, at least $8 million. This is all going in just into California primary races. $8 million from the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Priorities USA, Patriot Majority, and the House Majority PAC. PAC. And guess who the PACs are supporting? In every instance, the more conservative Democrat in the race. Guess who the Democratic Party through the DCCC is supporting? Every conservative in every race. And what happened, Democrats? I thought you said unify and don't fight each other in the primaries. Don't spend money, you're gonna waste the money. You need it for the general election to defeat Republicans. All of a sudden, your corporate asses are on the line. $8 million, pour it in. Make sure you defeat the progressives. Republicans are gonna lose to them and still fundraise. Don't worry about it, but defeat the progressives. What happened? I thought you were gonna take sides all of a sudden. $8 million of corruption. Okay, so more from Jesse Hunt. He's with the Republicans. He represents the NRCC. Grain of salt, any quote he's got, but I think it's an interesting perspective. Also, same Washington mindset. So listen to this. He says the DCCC, again, that's the Democrats in the House, by the way. That's their campaign committee in the House. The DCCC and Nancy Pelosi's super PAC are lighting money on fire right now in the hopes they can avert a catastrophe in their most focused on area of the country. Now, what Jesse Hunt doesn't tell you is that the catastrophe would be for progressives to win. And that's why Nancy Pelosi and the DCCC are lighting their money on fire. What happened? I thought you wanted to save it for the Republicans. I thought you wanted to keep your powder dry. That's what Democrats brag about all the time. No, nope. Light it on fire. Make sure the progressives are knocked out. Okay, and Hunt continues, Republicans are in an even stronger position today after Democratic candidates aired each other's personal dirty laundry and battled over who is most progressive. Now, it's in his best interest to talk about the dissension within the Democratic Party, etc. But wait a minute, Jesse Hunt, the Republicans do vicious primaries. They do it all the time. And I don't think it's hurt them. You don't think it's hurt them. The Republicans hold the House, they hold the Senate, they hold the White House. Take a look at the presidential run in 2016. One side, the Democrats, said, it's gotta be Hillary, Why won't Bernie get out? And they drove the other three out immediately, barely had a primary. Now Bernie made it into a giant primary, which angered them to no end. They thought no primaries are the right way to go. They barely had any debates. On the Republican side, they had 1 million debates with 17 candidates. What happened? I thought divisive primaries were supposed to hurt them. No, just like in the House, just like in the Senate, strong primaries, yes, where they attacked each other a lot, helped the Republicans. It didn't hurt them. It is conventional wisdom in Washington, and it is utter horse crap. It's not remotely true. Republicans have primaried each other for decades now, and they have grown stronger and stronger. It's all a ruse to make sure progressives don't get any power. I don't know if you realize this yet. The Democratic Party at the national level is not remotely progressive. Oh, let's resist Trump with what? Slightly less. You know, Chuck Schumer put out a tweet the other day, he's the head of the Democrats in the Senate, saying that he looks forward to doing what after what he says is gonna be Democratic victories in the fall? He says he looks forward to bipartisan compromise on health care. Jesus Christ. Resistance my ass. Okay, now back to the Hill. Douglas Schoen, another, Washington mindset individual here, says this level of vitriol and contention among Democrats is seriously hurting their chances at flipping seats and ultimately retaking the House in November. Oh, good. I can't wait for the data and the polling that indicates that. Oh, right. There are none. None. It's just BS Washington conventional wisdom. Democrats, if you just bow your heads, then everything is gonna be great. How's that working out for us? By the way, I already told you about the national level. At the state level, as you know, they lost over 1,000 seats in 10 years. Over 1,000 seats. 69 out of the 99 state legislatures are Republicans now. And your idea of just bowing our heads to the idiots who run the Democratic Party is somehow supposed to get us more victories? Based on what evidence? None. Last quote from Schoen. To capitalize on the 2018 midterms, the Democrats in California must move forward with a moderate and inclusive platform that will bring voters of all backgrounds to unify rather than divide the party. In other words, just do what the corporations tell you, okay? Be moderate and work with the Republicans. What do the Republicans want? All they want is to serve their corporate donors. If I go halfway towards them, that means I'm going halfway towards corruption. No, thank you. Here's an idea instead. Run super strong, populist progressives who say, yeah, goddamn right, we're gonna take on the bankers and the military industrial complex and the corrupt pharmaceutical companies, and we're actually gonna look out for you, the voter. And we're gonna not take any of that corporate money so you know we're honest and we serve you guys. That is going to work much better. And of course, everybody in Washington with their pocketbooks on the line is going, no, don't do that. Then what if they don't give us money and we are out of a job? Oh, from your mouth to God's ears. I hope to God you're all out of jobs very, very soon. And voters in California, you can make that happen. Whether it's supporting Allison Hartson for the Senate race, a true progressive, or Applegate, or Rosa Calderon, or Caforio, or so many others that are wonderful in this race. Please check out justdemocrats.com to see who the uncorrupted are and who the true progressives are. And not just in California, but in all the states that are coming up tomorrow. That's June 5th. New Mexico, New Jersey, so many other states are running and so many candidates in those states as well. Or go to your local progressive group that you trust. Our Revolution, PCCC, Working Families Party. We actually unify all the time after primaries. We get behind one another's candidates. That's real unity, not the enforced unity where the corporations rule us all. Don't believe the hype. Go vote tomorrow. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.